This is Justin.
And this is Haley, and you're listening to The Price of Avocado Toast.
We're a married millennial couple wanting to normalize conversations about money. We want to hear about your highs and your lows.
The do's and the don'ts on your path towards financial freedom.
All right, Toasties, we are sitting down today with Mel from Fck Debt on Instagram. That might be the first time I've dropped the F-bomb on the podcast. But
I don't think so. There's been a few times.
Maybe there's a couple. I don't know. Either way, what a great way to have my first time. Anyways, Mel, thank you for joining us today. We're so appreciative.
Of course, I'm glad to be here when your cherry is popped for that. It's exciting. It's exciting things.
Perfect.
If you didn't notice by the title of this episode and by our lovely guest, Mel, this episode's going to be slightly explicit, but just go with it. I mean, we say fuck around our kids, so.
Yeah.
But if that's not your jam, you might not want to listen to this in the car with your kids.
Yeah, I mean, our podcast
It's fair.
In the past 2 months has certainly heard it all, so it's not like it's anything that anybody's going to be new to. Yeah, it was. I asked my students one time, too, because I teach 6th grade, and I was like, hey, in some of the books, you're going to see, like, bad words, and I don't want to take those out of our library because I think it's important to leave them in there for the way that the author wrote and, like, what they were trying to get across. So are you students okay with me leaving those books on the shelf? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. I said, okay, now by a show of hands, who heard their parent curse in the last 24 hours? And every class, 60 of them were like, yep.
The
So I was
honesty.
like, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't feel too bad. And then I called their parents out at parent-teacher night. And I was like, just so you know, your kids might read bad words, but they've said that you all say it at home, so I don't have to worry.
That's
Called
great.
out.
Yeah.
All right, Mel, can you start by telling our toasties, who are our listeners, can you start by telling them a little bit about, like, who you are, what you do, how you got to be Fck Debt?
Yeah, so I'm Mel. For conversational purposes, the entire name is Melissa, but I dropped the Issa. It's not needed. So we're just Mel here. Yeah, I started the Fck Debt page a year in 2020. So it was like a year into our debt-free journey. I think I was creeping on somebody else. And then I was actually creeping on the like a hashtag, like debt-free. And then that like opened up the whole door to like, whoa, everybody's talking about like their business, like here for it. Let's do it. And so I started the page, and then I was like, I don't know what my name should be. Like I was looking at everybody's handles and I see like a budgeting bay and I'm like, that's cute, but it's not my vibe. Like, and so I think multiple times when, cause there was a point when we were paying off our debt where we were like paying fucking like $7,000 a month towards
Oh my
this.
God.
And so when we were making our payments, I would just be like, fuck this, like, fuck this. This is ridiculous. And so hence Fck Debt was born, because I was like, I feel it. That's how I feel about it. So that's what the name should be.
Yes, that's a very organic way to end up with it. Yeah. That's awesome.
And then
it's easy to talk about it and be like, this is my handle and this is why.
Yeah. And I dropped the U just to be cool, trying to keep up with the cool kids.
Yeah, there seems like every new like rapper that comes out or every like indie band uses like a V instead of a U, or they just like put like an asterisk instead of something. So it's like, yeah,
It's just a
dropping a U
new
is
thing.
cool. It's
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
So what's your debt-free journey looking like now? Are you guys debt-free? Are you still on the journey?
No, we're totally debt free. We pay.
Yeah.
Woo, let's go.
Yeah. Round of applause. Yeah, we became debt free in April of 2021, which feels like such a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it like wasn't, I guess kind of, but it's just like, it feels like light years ago. But yeah, debt free completely.
What kind of debt was it?
So most of it was student loans, like, oh, big shocker. Husband had, I think like 60,000 in student loans. I had 30. Thank God I dropped out before that shit went even more. And then we had car loans. We took a loan out for our wedding, which like no regrets. Our wedding was fucking amazing. So fine with it. And then credit cards.
Okay.
So
yeah, we had our wedding ended up costing us like $30,000.
Yeah.
And so it was part of the big like money we had in the bank after the wrongful death suit, and we've said like, thank God we did that. Like if nothing else, we are happy that like we put some money into buying a home, and we paid for our wedding because it's honestly the best day of our lives.
Oh, yeah.
It totally worth it 1,000% over.
Absolutely.
And you had the coolest bouquet because you post pictures
I
all
did.
the time.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, they look like tropical flowers.
Yeah.
Your bouquet looked extra fancy.
Thank you so much. It was actually all done by my best friend. Her name is Alyssa Lopez. She's a wedding planner out here in the Bay Area. So if you're getting married, well, she like just had a baby, so maybe she needs some time. Last week she had a baby.
Okay.
Yeah, like hella just
She's
had a
booked
baby.
for a little bit.
Yeah. But she did all of our flowers for us. Like her and like her husband, they're like our best friends. They were in the garage. We got this Airbnb. We got married up in Bodega Bay. And we got Airbnb. They were in the garage. It was like a fucking workshop. Like they were just like making all the flowers, all the middle things, the centerpieces, that whole thing. It was, and they were putting everybody else to work. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super fun. And now I got to go scroll through your Instagram and check it out.
They're really cool.
That's right.
Thank you.
So I want to ask, what like prompted you guys to get started on your debt-free journey? Was there a moment where you're like, oh, we're done with this. Like we can't be putting this much money towards like this depreciating stuff, or what was it for you guys?
So I know you guys just did the podcast about Dave Ramsey. And so we too started out in that realm, not anymore. That guy's we don't even need to go into it, but we started out because when we were engaged, I was like, so are we supposed to do like the money thing together? What do we do here? And so I started looking, shit up on the internet, and then his stuff came up on YouTube, and I was like, oh, people are paying off their debt. Like that's a thing. I had no idea. So I went into like a fucking like wormhole, I guess. And I was like, oh, we should do one. We should put our finances together. And then two, we should probably get out of debt because we don't want to be in this for a long time. And then also we had decided we were moving to Hawaii. And so we were like, we can't move there with all of this. Or we shouldn't. Like it's probably not a great idea. So that was kind of like the catapult. But then we got married, and then we like traveled. And then we were like, okay, let's start this now. So it took a few months after that initial like, oh, we should do this to get started. But then we did. And it was probably one of the best decisions we've made thus far, like in our lives.
Awesome. So you said you became debt free in April 2021. Do you remember like the start date?
Yeah. So I actually wrote it down because
sweet.
The last few podcasts that I've done, they're like, yeah, so what was the timing on everything? And I was like, what? I don't know. I was just like, woo, out of my mind. But April 2019 was when we started. So we like cleaned it in like exactly 2 years.
That's incredible.
Which was like for like, I don't have OCD, but just for that, like fitting in perfect, like, 2 years, 24 months.
That is awesome.
So people listening from, I don't know, Kansas or something, they're probably like, how the hell did you pay off that much debt that fast? Was there a magic thing for you? Or was it just that you guys have high paying jobs and you were able to decrease expenses and do it that way?
Yeah. So hi, Kansas, if you're listening. What's happening over there in Kansas? So the biggest thing we had, like, let's see, I wrote this down too. Look, maybe I am more prepared than I thought.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're super prepared.
It took many unprepared moments to get to this point. But in 2019, so I was making 56. So for the Bay Area, that's not a lot.
Nothing.
No, it's not a lot. Sean was making 76, which was like, okay, but still wasn't, it wasn't a lot. Yeah. And we were living with roommates, which here is like completely normal to be engaged to living with roommates and stuff, like even married and still having other roommates in like a shared house, like totally normal out here. So my mother-in-law, she's older and she has a house in San Jose, and we were in Sunnyvale, and she always was calling my husband over to like help with like, oh, I need help with this, and that. And so before the wedding, which was in 2018, I was like, do you think that your mom would let us live there so you can help her, but also to give us a break on what is it called? Rent. Yeah. I like to not think about it. And then he was like, that's actually probably a good idea. So, we had a talk with her, and she was like, Yeah, I think that would be good. So that was the biggest thing, is because we were paying, and then again, Kansas, hold your, take a seat, because we were paying $1,500 for a master bedroom in a shared house. And then the other rooms were like $800 a piece. There's 3 bedrooms. So like, to not have to pay $1,500 a month was like, it was great. I mean, we still paid her a little bit of rent because we just felt like I didn't want to be, I've been so independent. I've been out of the house since I was 19. And so to move back in with a parent, I was, it took a kick to my ego, but I was like, if we're really going to do this right now, it seems like our only option to really make a big dent. So, we moved in, I think we paid her like $600, but still going from $1,500 to $600.
Yeah. That's
a little swing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the biggest thing. And then over the course of from 2019 to 2021, we grew our incomes. So by the end of it in 2020, I made 85, and then Sean was still at 76. And then 2021, somehow I made 128. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I like it.
Yeah.
I'm down for it.
For real.
So what you just described is the prime example of a power move. Financial power move.
Ooh.
And it's when people get so sick and tired of their situation that they're like, I don't care what the fuck I have to do. I'm going to do it to get out of this.
Yeah.
That is a power move, to go move in with an in-law. We sold our house in the Bay Area to move. That was a power move.
Mm-hmm.
People like sell their cars. That's a power move.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to that point where it's like almost a breaking point. Like, we understand that if we want this to keep going and we want to push through and be debt free, if that's your goal, it's not going to happen as fast as we want unless we do something like that. And that's the secret sauce. And I keep hearing that over and over and over again from different people that got there very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just pay off that much debt in 2 years just by doing nothing. You have to do big things like that. So
absolutely.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
No, it's really hard. And like you said, it's hard as an adult to do that. It's hard for your ego. It's a very humbling thing to have to go make those decisions. So
absolutely.
good for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it was living with an in-law was not like, she's such a nice person, but like after the wedding was in 2018, but we were married in 2017. We eloped. But like to understand that dynamic of like mother-in-law and then like, son and mother and then like wife and husband, it was a fucking mess. And but it did what it needed to do. And then we got out of there, but it was a lot.
Yeah. Holy smokes. So you guys live in San Jose now?
Yes, we're in San Jose.
And is the goal still to move eventually to Hawaii?
So, that was the initial goal. And like now, and I don't care if it sounds obnoxious. Like we fucking worked for it. So, we're making a lot more money now. And like we have no debt. And so the plans are changing. Plans are changing. And that was the initial plan. But now we decided, okay, let's push it out a year because my husband's a graphic designer, like on top of his day job, and he's getting more and more jobs. And I'm like, I don't want to stunt anything for us. Like I've kind of hit my like groove at my job, and I don't want to cut us short of, some opportunities that could be coming our way. So we decided to push it out a year. And then now, God, even within the last like month, we've just been talking more and more of like, what's next for us? What, I don't think settling down somewhere maybe next, but it's just, we're still in talks about what's going on, but it's exciting. It's exciting to have all these options now that we are just like, there's so much money. I'm flailing my arms for those of you who can't see listening to the podcast, but it's just like,
yeah. I think a lot of people listening are probably going to think that it's a lot of money, and it certainly is. And obviously, you've worked hard to get there. You talk about, making in the mid 50s, just several years ago, and then working to where you are now. Like that's huge growth. That's pretty cool.
Thanks.
But you do live in a remarkably expensive area.
We do.
Like, we talk about, Santa Rosa and how expensive it was for us to live there.
Yeah.
And how pricey the mortgage was and stuff, and obviously what rent looks like down there. Are you comfortable just kind of talking a little bit about like what your guys' average like rental budget has to look like based on where you guys live? Because I think a lot of people are gonna be like, whoa, that's expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy because like the place that we're in now is a deal. And for those who live in the Bay Area, they're like, oh yeah, that's a great deal. But like anywhere else, they're going to be like, you crazy out there.
Yeah.
But we are in a 400 square foot like studio. Well, there's like a separation to the bedroom, but like there's no door, right? So it is studio-ish, and we pay $1,800. And
that is a steal.
That is a really good deal.
That's a steal. Like I heard that, and I was like, oh, sub $2,000, like that's legit.
All bills included except for internet.
Okay,
wow,
that's a
that's
really
a
good
steal.
deal.
Yeah, so it's a mother-in-law suite. The main house is rented out as well, and they're like super nice. And the kid, I think he's a few years older than me, but the guy who owns it is like an engineer, like in Palo Alto. And he like was like, I bought this house in like the thick of COVID, and he's like, but I can't afford to live there, so he's renting it out. And we're like, that's great, like we'll take it.
Gosh,
it's sweet. It's such a sweet deal.
That is crazy.
So
I know there's people that are like,
no. Someone in
yeah.
Kansas is like, excuse me, I can rent my granny unit for $1,800.
Wow. Kansas, you are in
that's
for
like
it.
Triple their mortgage.
Yeah. For real. Like there's gonna
Like,
be people
literally.
that are like, why not just get a mortgage or something? It's like, oh, well, because these are all $1 million+ homes. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, easy.
We can't just get a
Holy
mortgage.
smokes.
And I don't want to. I don't want to right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay for a broken water here. A tree broke a few months ago. Like we had like this crazy storm, and a tree broke, and we were like, oh, let's call the landlord. Like we want to fix that. Like not our problem.
I saw this really cool graphic that I think you'll relate to, Mel, just kind of talking about renting versus homeowning.
Mm-hmm.
And it talked about, people say like, well, you should just be homeowning because at least you're getting this, equity in it and stuff. But it all is based on like what your preference is. And some people do just want to be able to call the landlord and be like, you need to get this fixed, or this needs to get fixed, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then they choose instead to just invest the extra money they might, use on a mortgage or something. And over the long haul, they're probably going to make decent money on that in the stock market.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's interesting because so many people, and myself included, I've always felt like I've got to own a home. I've got to get this equity. And now just kind of being more comfortable in like the finance space, and also knowing what it took for us as homeowners, and how much extra there was on top of it. It's not like your mortgage is just the bottom. There's so much more beyond that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like now knowing that, I'm like, I'm cool renting. Like I'm fine. We have a pretty good deal here with Haley's mom because she owns the place that we live in.
Sick.
Like, so yeah, it's like, I mean, obviously $1,800 to some people is going to be expensive, but that's a freaking steal where you guys are at. Like I'd like, yeah, we're rolling this until we are, on top of each other too much and need more space.
Yeah. And it's crazy because like at my mother-in-law's, we just had a room. Like we didn't really go out and, because it was her house, right? Like it never felt like a shared thing because it was her house. She'd been there for 30 years. So from a room to this, we are living large.
You're balling.
We have our own patio. Like what?
For real.
I love that. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears a little bit and ask you about life after paying off debt.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've said this many times on Instagram and on our podcast, but you get so like focused in on one goal. And for us, it was debt freedom. For you, sounds like that's what it was for you as well. This is what I want. All I want to do is pay off absolutely everything. You get so excited. And then afterwards, you're like, okay, yay, it's done. But then what? What is life for you guys now? Do you have a specific goal you're reaching towards? Are you seeking the FIRE movement? Do you want to retire early? What is it for you guys now?
So it's funny that you say the FIRE movement. I remember when I first made the Instagram, I was like, why does everyone on fire? What is going on? Like, I was like, they're on fire to pay their debt. What's happening? So I didn't even know what that was until 2020.
Neither did we.
Did you? Okay. But so right after we got out of debt, I'm not even gonna lie. We were wild in, you guys. We were wild in. We were just like, spend all the money, do all the things. And we had like a little bit of emergency fund, but we just weren't really focused. We were tired. It was a lot, 2 years, almost 130,000. Like that's a lot. It's a lot. So we were just kind of having a good time.
Good.
And then we were like, okay, we need to like beef up this emergency fund. Cause like you said, Bay Area, it's expensive here. And then with COVID, it kind of changed that whole like, that rule of thumb of 3 to 6, months of emergency fund. I was like, nah, I want a year. Cause who knows what's going to happen? Like, looks like COVID's not going away. Sorry, people who think it is. Like, I don't know what's happening with it. So it's like, let's try to do a year. So we are doing that. But we're also investing more, in 2021, we started our Roths. We finished our 2021 Roths, and then we opened up a brokerage. I was like, we're doing things. Things are happening right now.
Go. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's crazy to think 3 years ago, we were, I don't know what we were doing, just dicking around is what we say. But, now it's like, look at us being adults here.
Adulting.
Adulting.
So when I actually did an audit on this, and I want to do a whole episode on this. But then again, I'm like, it's February, and then it's going to be March, and then next thing we'll know it'll be August, and it'll be useless at that point. But the end of 2021, I did an audit of our 2021 spending, and we sold our house and moved here in April, and we had some massive lifestyle inflation afterwards.
Yeah.
And you would think we sold our house and moved, it was lower cost of living area, but in our head, we're like, oh, we did it. We're done with that.
Yeah.
Let's just live life a little bit. And we lived it a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
No regrets, but it was nice to have that audit to kind of reel it in. Because I think once you pay off debt and you're done, it's actually, for us, harder to stay out of debt than it was to get out of debt.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? How is that for you guys?
I agree 100%. When we moved to this 400 square foot place, we somehow spent $5,000 trying to furnish 400 square feet. Because when we moved with my mother-in-law, we got rid of everything. Because we were like, after we move in with her, the next move is Hawaii. And then we were like, we need to get the fuck out of here. And we weren't ready for Hawaii. So that's why we moved here. So we had to buy everything, and of course we were like, but this is nicer. Let's buy this and this and this. So yeah, 1000% agree. It's harder to stay out of debt than when you're like, okay, let's get out of it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I just think that when you're going through the debt-free journey, it's so easy to just make that the main focus.
Put your head down and do it.
We support in America, we support the hustle culture, right? Where it's just all you do is work. If you rest at all, you're lazy. So it's super easy to just be yeah, all I'm doing is just pouring into this and pouring into this and pouring into this.
Yeah.
And then when it's finally done and you're like, okay, now I have to decide what the next 60 years of my life looks like and what that financial journey looks like versus the 2-year journey of getting out of debt, it's so much harder to long-term view it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I think makes it difficult with staying once you're out of debt, staying out of the debt, because it is so easy to just be I'm just going to go back into lifestyle inflation. Also because I know when shit hits the fan, we can grind and take care of it, right? But you're oh, I don't want to go back to those feelings. That's what kind of pulls you back in of oh, I remember how that felt. I don't want to have those feelings again of working just to pay off poor choices.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It can be a lot, but yeah, that audit on our budget was whoa, those summer months were wild.
Yeah, I did it really late at night. You were sleeping on the couch, and I was sitting here making a spreadsheet, and I'm looking, and I'm like, okay. Yes, there was a 6 point something percent inflation rate in 2021. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, this is not 6%. We went from spending $500 a month on groceries to $1,000. That is 50%. It went wild.
Yeah.
We all of a sudden, all of that money that we had that was going towards debt and goals was we could do whatever we wanted with it. And because we sold the house, we immediately fully funded an emergency fund. So we kind of skipped that step.
Yeah.
Most people would then they would spend a lot of time saving.
Mm-hmm.
But we skipped that. And then we were just all right, we got the emergency fund. We paid the stuff off. And now let's party.
Yeah.
We funded the Roths, so we were all right, what are we going to do next?
Yeah.
We invested a little bit, and we're
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
But it's good to reflect on that, because it's really easy to, if you don't slip back into debt, it's easier to just spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're human,
easier.
right? You're human. So you want to, enjoy,
Yeah.
life's too short. It's so obnoxious to say that, but it's true.
It's totally true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 1000%. So Toasties, if you're listening, you might be like, whoa, Mel's audio is super good. And it is, because Mel is on a mic set right now that's pretty legit. Let's transition and talk a little bit about your podcast, because you mentioned this before we started recording.
Yeah.
This is super dope. I was under the assumption that it was a finance thing, but it's not.
No.
So I want to kind of change course and talk a little bit about that. So share kind of what you are doing right now with your podcast and what that looks like for you and your husband.
Sure. I didn't expect to talk about this. This is cool. Just a little plug.
Yeah.
So our podcast is a live stream. We stream on Twitch every Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What up? And it's a Machoffn Podcast. Our last name is Fake, which is a fun story, and we made it up when we got married. So it's not
Really?
It's not either of our last names. It's like a mixture of both of our last names. You can do that, by the way. You want to know?
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yes, we want to hear this story. You're like, okay, I'll just bury that part. Like, no, yes, share that.
So my maiden name is Macabinta. I'm half Filipina, and then my husband's maiden name, I don't know what it's called, is Ikoff. And so when we got married, I was like, I am not standing in all the lines to change my last name, and you're not. Like, that's not fair. He was like, okay, what do you want to do? And to hyphenate would have been too long. So like, we took Mac and then Hoff and then made Machoff. But like everybody pronounces it Machoff. So now our podcast is called Machoffn Podcast.
Dude, that's legit.
Yeah.
I didn't even like think that you could do that. I mean, it makes sense. Like, you're just filling out
fill it out.
the form. Yeah. And you're just like, this is what we want to call ourselves. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, so
that's super cool.
We're the first.
Yes, I love that.
Thanks. So yeah, we stream on Mondays, and we basically just go over current events. We play some like Would You Rathers. We get into Am I the Assholes from Reddit, which is like a whole thing. Yeah. So we talk about those. And Twitch is cool because since it's live, there's a chat, so you can interact with people who are watching. And to make a Twitch account is free. You can have the option to subscribe to us, but if you just want to be in chat, like, it's totally free, and we can talk to you. You can engage in the conversation with us. And it's pretty cool. We play some games on there too. Yeah, it's fun. It's been really fun. I know you said you thought it was a finance podcast, but like, I thought about it, but right as of now, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And there's so many great ones. Like, you guys, I know Janice, Yo Quiero Dinero podcast is doing her thing. Like, there's so many great ones that I'm like, go learn from them. Like, just come chill with me. Like, that's fine.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I think that's so rad. I was telling Mel Toasties that I thought Twitch was specifically just for like streaming video games and like people that were doing, computer stuff, because that's the only realm that I'd ever heard it in.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty dope then that, like, people can do that and have people subscribe to watch them play video games. But then the other part of me was like, well, that's a little weird. Like, why don't you just go play the video game instead? But now it makes sense. Like, you can like hop on and like get involved in the conversation too, and like chat, and like, I mean, that's super cool. I think it's super dope that you guys are doing that.
Thanks. Yeah. There's people doing like whole variety shows on there. It's a whole other world. It's pretty cool.
About this.
Yeah, it's cool.
I know. That's super rad. Can I ask how have you seen it affect like you and your husband's relationship at all? Because like, straight up, like, when we started the podcast, it's been like the dopest hobby. Like when people are like, oh, like, what do you like to do for fun, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I don't know, like I read books, or like, I don't know, I really like to cook. Like, I'm like, I podcast with my wife, and that's like hella fun.
It's so fun, right?
Yeah. It's just a cool hobby. Have you guys seen that you're like, oh, this is something like we really enjoy doing, like we want to continue this for a long time, or what?
Yeah, I think on Fck Debt I had posted like, oh, how would you guys or like, what would you think about doing a podcast with your significant other? And then Haley was like, do it, love it, been there, like,
do it.
But we've been together, I think in a few weeks it'll be 8 years. And we just like not to sound all hippie, but we like vibe, bro. Like, we just vibe, and it's fun. It's so much fun. We see, like, if we could make a living off of doing that,
right?
So down, just to hang out with like my best friend, as obnoxious as that sounds, but he is, and just talk. Whoever wants to listen to me, that's great.
Yeah, it's so
but
funny.
it's
like,
so fun.
People say that, right? Like, would you ever like want to work with your spouse? Or like, you hear people talking, they're like, oh, I could never work with my wife. And you're like, dude, I think my wife is like the dopest human I know.
Yes.
Like, if I could just spend all
That would be
day
like a
with
dream.
you, I'd be like, this is super tight.
Yeah.
I hope your principal doesn't listen, but I'm always talking about how I'm trying to retire Justin out. I want to make a lot of money with my financial coaching, to the point where he can quit his teaching job and come work and we can build an empire together under
Yes.
the Poet universe. And I'm like, come work with me. Come on.
Yeah,
I'll
that'd be a
hire
lot of
you.
fun.
You'll have to go through an interview, though.
Okay. Well, I have really great interview skills.
I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's too funny. So, Mel, we have a famous last question
Yeah.
that I want to ask you. If
Mhm.
you could put a stop sign on anybody's financial journey, what would you stop them from doing?
If I would stop. Oh man, wait a minute. So many answers are coming to my head. Okay. I guess I would stop them from stopping investing while they're paying off their debt. Because I did that and I'm like, feel like Boo Boo the Fool. Cause like we, 2 years we could have been fucking stacking and
Yeah.
we didn't. So I would stop them from stopping that.
Do you have an option at your job for investing, or is it simply the Roth and the brokerage account that you guys have now?
No, we have 401ks through our Roth or through our Roth,
Awesome.
through our jobs. Mhm.
Oh, yeah. So that 2 years would have been nice to.
Right?
Do you
Yeah.
get like an employee match or anything like that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I know. And we like totally, and it was so annoying because we stopped it and I was like, yeah, we're on the right path because we were following fucking Dave Ramsey. And then, then after I was like, no, why did we do that? But,
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like, whatever, it's done. Like we
For sure.
are obviously investing now in it. And it's like, we just got to move forward. Got to keep moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
How
And
old are you guys?
So I'm turning 30 this year.
Oh, me
What?
too.
Are you? Yay! 30. Yes, turning 30. And then Sean is 36, turning 36. Yeah.
When we were following Dave Ramsey, we didn't invest aside from the required teacher pension program that
Mhm.
like we didn't have an option to opt out of. But I think we would have opted out of it if we had the choice, just because Mr. Dave Ramsey told us to.
Yeah.
But we kept saying, we're young. We're only 27, 28, 29. Like, we're not even 30 yet. It's not that big of a deal. And we said that over and over and over.
Mhm.
It's not that big of a deal. But 2 years getting a match in the
Yeah.
long run is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I just am glad that we have people now that are stating like, hey, that was the biggest red flag mistake that I made in my journey. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
And there's more and more and more people saying that. So hopefully that resonates with people who've chosen to stop their investing so they can go back to that immediately.
Absolutely. I think I made a TikTok and then like I only made 2 and like that's one of them. I haven't made anything after that, but like I got that message out there.
You're like, if nothing else, this message needs to be out in space somewhere.
Exactly.
Some random person's like scrolling late Saturday night and they're like, oh, I should start investing again. This chick in San Jose told me I need to do it.
Exactly.
You have a Fck Debt sticker that you gifted me that is on my
Yeah,
my
your
laptop.
Yes.
Literally, I get
Shout out
compliments
the laptop.
right there.
Yay. You guys
I
are on
get-
my fridge.
Woo!
You're on the fridge over there.
I get compliments on that all the time from people when they see it. Do you happen to sell those? Or like your hats?
So yeah, I sell the hats. The thing is though, the hats, like it's all off hands. I don't do anything. I just move the money from PayPal to the account that it's connected to. So like they ship it. I'm not an Etsy girl. Like the company does the whole thing. Cause I was like, oh, I should include stickers with my hats. But I can't do it because I don't package anything.
Do you make money off of them?
Honestly, not really. I mean, I've sold hats, but like the I can't even think of the company, but like in terms of Shark Tank, my profit margin isn't great. It costs a lot to have them do everything, so it's more of just like a fun thing. It's not.
Yeah, more of just like if you want to support, like you're just covering costs for it all. You're not.
Yeah. But I should sell the stickers. I have some. I have an E40 one. For again, those are
Really?
from the Bay. Yeah, I do.
Wait, an E40 sticker like with
Yeah,
Fck Debt on it? Or?
No, he's like this. He's holding his glasses, and it says "Young, Hyphy, and Debt Free." I can send you guys one if you want.
Yes,
Please.
that's legit.
But I should sell them. I should. Thank you.
You should.
Business
Because
venture
your stickers
right under
are
this.
really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're pretty dope.
Yeah,
So
I like 'em.
it's
My
It needs to
husband.
go like on my car.
Yeah, my husband drew my hand. He does everything. I am nothing without him.
Wow, he did a great job. That's a very
Thanks.
nice
Yeah, it's
logo
dope.
and everything.
Thank you.
So where can people find you? I want people to connect with you and find your podcast and find your Instagram page and maybe your stickers someday.
Yeah, so the main account is at Fck Debt, FCKDEBT. In the bio, I think I should put it in my link tree. In the link, it'll be there by the time you guys click on it. In the link tree, you will find a link to Machoffn Podcast. Again, if you're on Twitch or if you just want to see what we're about, we stream Mondays, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I got that locked down. We say it all the time, so I'm just like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, you sound very
gotta get
official.
it locked.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know that Haley's been excited to have you on,
Yeah,
especially
really
because she's
good.
repping your sticker on the computer, and obviously we love what you're about, and we love your
Move that shit around.
your openness with
Yes.
your name. So thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you for having me. This is so much fun.
Yeah, take care, Mel.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Price of Avocado Toast. If you vibed with this episode, share it with a friend that you're comfortable having money talks with. And if you don't mind, we'd love if you could rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you're in need of my support as a financial coach, message me on Instagram. I'd love to help in any way that I can. Until next time.